They could be worth up to £86 million, which, by anyone's standards, is a good night's work.
Absolutely. Now, experts do say that the works are so famous that they could never, ever be sold, which does beg the question, where on earth are they going to end up?
Justin Rowlett looks into the murky world of art crime.
Art heists have a glamorous reputation in Hollywood. The Thomas Crown Affair, Ocean's 12, Entrapment. All portray sophisticated thieves meticulously planning perfect and apparently victimless crimes. In the movies we may champion the chancer, but it's not all smooth men in smart black polo necks. There's a much darker side to these daring raids, although the potential gains aren't exaggerated. The best estimate is that art worth £3 billion is stolen each year. Why do criminals target art?
The money. It's as simple as that. The paintings are unsaleable on the open market, but on the black market amongst criminal organisations, they will have something in the region of, say, 3 to 7% of the declared market value. So if you take last week's Paris theft, they're in for 25 million of the published valuation.
So what might the money they raise be used for?
World-class paintings have been used directly as a commodity exchange for drugs. They've been used as down payments in arms deals. They have been recovered through the infiltration of organised crime syndicates. The opportunities are enormous to the criminal.
So what would happen to art that's been stolen? Where would it go?
These things travel. They are easy to cross borders with, and you don't have the hassle of currency exchanges because, you know, a Monet will sell for dollars in the States, yen in Japan, pound sterling in the UK. It's a global currency.
So once these priceless works have disappeared into a nefarious underworld, what chance is there of them ever being found?
20% of it we fear will never be recovered because it's been destroyed, badly damaged, or sometimes hidden by the crooks because it's too hot to hold and they forget where it is or they die.
So how is stolen art recovered?
We search about 500,000 items a year, going through auction houses, dealers, art fairs. We search eBay, and through all those means, we recover about 150 items a year.
So have you had any big successes recently?
Well, we recovered a Cézanne worth £18 million. The thief stole the picture, gave his lawyer the picture as fees, and then the thief was shot. The lawyer waited 18 years and then tried to sell the pictures, and that's how we recovered them.
With resourceful thieves desperate to get their gloved hands on their valuable assets, collectors and museums have to be constantly vigilant to keep their canvases safe. So William, we've got the National Gallery, we've got the National Portrait Gallery, we've got the Royal Academy just up the road. Thousands of priceless works of art. How do you keep them secure?
We use different forms of technology. We put vibration sensors on the windows so if somebody breaks the glass it will pick it up. We use laser and seismic sensors so that if somebody gets too close they reach through an invisible beam and it will set an alarm off. We use CCTV that's linked to modern technology.
So you're pretty confident that the national treasures are safe with you?
I'm very confident.
So if you've got a Canaletto in your kitchen or a Da Vinci in your dining room, make sure you are doing everything you can to keep it as safe as these, because there are unscrupulous people out there who might have an eye on your assets. Now this is the one that I've been looking for. I'm taking this beauty home.
That'll not get him anywhere, that's for sure. Anyway, Julian Radcliffe, chairman of the Art Loss Register, which recovers stolen art, has joined us. I mean, what is the likelihood, Julian, of these pictures in Paris ever showing up again?
About 20% of the pictures are recovered within 20 years. 20% are probably destroyed. 20% probably get into a private house, nobody knows what they are. Mm-hmm. Another 20% are still with the criminals.
Mm-hmm. Incredible. We've got a still actually just of one of the paintings, that went missing.
This is the Modigliani, which was one of the pictures stolen in the Paris theft, worth 10 to 20 million pounds. One of the best Modiglianis ever painted. That won't be saleable as it is, but it will get onto the market one day, probably described as something else.
Somebody will put a moustache on it.
Yeah.
They might not do that, and they certainly wouldn't put a beard on it.
I wouldn't advise that. But this by any means it's not the biggest art heist ever.
No, the biggest theft was from the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston. Yeah. A Rembrandt, which is the only seascape he painted. Mm-hmm. is one of the paintings. That's a huge painting. That would be worth probably 100, 150 million if it was on the open market today.
And is it like a status symbol, do you think, for criminals?
No, very seldom they steal it other than for pure financial criminal gain.
Right.
They can trade these in the underworld, and eventually they try and slip them back into the market.
Okay.
The Mona Lisa, of course, has been stolen
Well, it's the
several
most famous
times.
picture stolen and recovered. I wish all were recovered like that. Probably the most famous painting which was stolen and has not been recovered is the Raphael of a young man, and that picture was stolen for Hitler for his museum from the Polish museum, and at the end of the war sadly not recovered, might have been destroyed.
And the unluckiest one then? The one that's been stolen the most?
It's a very small picture, size of a handkerchief, stolen several times from the Dulwich Museum, but now I'm glad to say it's back there.
There was a place in Ireland called Rusborough House, and that has been robbed 4 times.
Correct.
Since the 70s. And there was one painting at Gainsborough that was stolen twice in a few days. It was stolen, recovered, and then 2 days later they robbed it again.
Someone must have lost their job over that one, I would think.
Security's pretty terrible in these institutions.
Cahill, who was the guy who stole those pictures, lost some of them in a forest and didn't know where he stole them. But I'm glad to say we just recovered a very valuable piece of furniture in Ireland, and I fly next Tuesday with the Garda to identify it.
Well, I tell you, however wrong it is, it's a fascinating world to be involved in, it really is. And all this week we've been talking about solving crime as we've gained exclusive access to the UK's crime scene investigation.